And thank you for joining us. We are thrilled to have you here at this October meeting of the Newbie Group. While we're waiting for other people to join us, would you just go into chat, identify where you are from, where you're joining us from today, and we'd also like to know if you use Prep. Our guest speaker today is Jenny Martin, and you know Jenny from Prep and Data, and we'd like to know if you use Prep. So let us know where you're from and also if you use Prep. Robert, you're from Indiana. Where in Indiana are you? I'm a Purdue graduate. That's why I asked Robert. And Jenny, you're in Franklin, Tennessee, and you're not yet. Jenny, I hope to see you in the December the December Nashville TUG meeting. It's going to be live, and you'll be hearing more about that from Eric and myself. Wow, they're coming in from everywhere now. We got Arizona. We got some of your people there, Reyes, from Colorado Springs.
Absolutely, love to see that. Here they're having a cold snap here in the next couple days.
Yeah, they tell me it's supposed to be below freezing here in Nashville. That's a little scary over the weekend. So, somebody from Indianapolis. Colleen, do you know Maddie? Maddie Wild is from Indianapolis. Also, there's you might know her. You might know her from school or something. Chicago, you probably know Laura. Laura's in Chicago.
Hi, Gina.
I see San Diego's in the house. San Diego, I used to live in San Diego. That's where my oldest son was born. And by the way, San Diego is the home. Next year, TC24 will be in San Diego the last week of April.
Fantastic. Have to add that to the calendar. That's going to be a great event.
Definitely be there.
TC24.
Yes, Madeline. I know that all Hoosiers know each other. Remember, I went to Purdue, so I know that all Hoosiers know each other.
Yes, we're very friendly.
Yes, absolutely.
I do joke that everyone in Indianapolis is only one connection away, though. Yeah. It's not that big of a city.
I see someone from Ogden, Utah. I had a chance to go out there this summer. A beautiful little reservoir in that area.
Yeah. I think Robert just came in with a Hoosiers. I think that is a reference for you, Maddie, not for Purdue. So.
I'm not sure what that is, so I'll just.
Okay. Hi, Pam Butler. Pam Butler is one of the co-leads for the Nashville User Group. Glad to have you aboard today, Pam.
Hello, everyone.
Okay.
I know it's very difficult to find member joining in from India. It's quite late here, but I still saw one or two members. So welcome.
For those of you who didn't get the assignment here, let us know if you use Prep, because there's going to be a quiz later, and Jenny wants to know who to call on. So just raise your hand if you know how to use Prep. Jen Snyder, religiously from Newport, Rhode Island. That's the one to call on, Jenny.
Teddy says, love Prep. Nice.
Marlo in Nash Vegas, good to see you here. Welcome.
Yeah, there's a variety of responses. People use Prep, or maybe they're starting to use it. It's great to see the variety.
Looks like we have a few of our Canadian neighbors joining us today. That's fantastic.
Fabulous. Laura Fisher from Nashville, how are you? Good to see you. Please come to the Nashville TUG meeting. I forget the exact date. It's the last date in the last week of November. But we're going to go out and we're going to have some fun out in, I think it's Cool Springs. John Krieger, I recognize the name. Good to have you aboard.
Hi, Satya. Good to see you here.
You know, I was hoping to see someone from Atlanta hop on the call. I was going to ask for food recommendations.
Well, there you go.
Oh, hello, Marie, from Berlin, Germany. I think I know your name.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna wait about 1 more minute, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. There's still there's still seating in the front, so don't be shy. Just come on in. Okay, Viraj, let's go ahead and get started. And first of all, I want to greet everybody. I want to thank you for being here today. It really means a lot to us, to the entire team, your support and all the support you've had over the last 2 years with the Newbie User Group. There's a couple things we do for housekeeping, because I know a lot of you, this might be your first meeting. This must be the first time you're at the Newbie Group. We record every meeting. And not only are the meetings recorded, but we take those recordings and we post them up on our Bevy landing page, and we'll show you how to get there in just a minute. So everything we do is already recorded. It's out there, or it's being recorded live, and it's out there. So sit back, relax, enjoy what you're seeing. You don't have to worry about getting down deep into it, because you can always pull it back up and look at it later. You'll notice that the audio and video has been disabled, but we encourage you to talk to each other through chat. Okay, there's going to be a lot of people on the call today. Probably over a couple hundred people will be live on the call today. So we encourage you to talk with each other on the chat. But if you have questions about the presentation, please put them in the Q&A. You'll see there's a button there for Q&A. Put the question in the Q&A. It's easier for us to follow that, and we will get to them and answer them all. People will be answering them live. And if we have one or two left for the presenter, we'll do those live. Also. Viraj, let's go to the next slide. Just a little bit about the group. This marks almost 2 full years that the Newbie Group has been around. We try to meet every 6 to 8 weeks. We have like 7 or 8 meetings a year. I'll speak for Klaus and myself also. When we first started this, we really didn't know what to expect, and it has been a rousing success. And we thank you for that. We thank you, the user, for that. We want to emphasize to you, this is your meeting. If there are topics that you want us to talk about, or speakers that you'd like to hear that we can get to have speak at future meetings, just put something in the chat and let us know, and we'll see what we can do about it. But, this meeting is designed for you. It's designed for people who are relatively new to Tableau, who are in the process of enhancing their skills. And we know that you're only going to be with us for a while, and then you're going to move on to another group, probably like the analytics group, or one of the industry groups, or one of the regional groups. Every meeting we have 2 different types of sessions. We have the Jim and Klaus session, and today the part of Klaus will be played by Viraj. So it'll be the Jim and Viraj session today, where we kind of take a deep dive into one of the features of Tableau. And then we have a guest speaker, and that guest speaker today is Jenny Martin, and we'll get into more of that. You'll see the QR code there. That QR code will take you out to where our Bevy site is, our Bevy landing page, and all the recordings of past meetings are on that site. So you might want to kind of bookmark that QR code so that you can get to those recordings. Raj, let's go to the next slide. Okay. Today's agenda, we're going to, after we get done with this introduction, Viraj is going to speak primarily on dynamic measure formatting. And it's a topic that has come up frequently. We've had users ask how to do dynamic formatting, and we thought we'd get into it today. Viraj is going to take us into detail on that. And then Jenny's going to take us through five ways of using Tableau Prep. And for those of you who don't know, Jenny, I think you're one of the founders of Prepping Data. Are you not one of the founders?
I'm not one of the founders, but I joined about a year
Okay.
in to help
Okay.
support on it.
Okay, well, you've been doing it long enough that you can
Next level.
take credit for it, you know?
I could, but I won't. I'll get
Well, I'll tell you what, she's a superstar with Tableau Prep, and we're pleased to have you with us. And then we're going to have some fun. We do a little quiz, and we're going to have a Kahoots quiz, and you get bragging rights. You get to brag at the next meeting that you won the Kahoots quiz. There's no cash involved or anything like that. Sorry, but that's the way it's going to be. Raj, let's go to the next slide. Okay, this is where we've been this year. We're now in the 6th meeting. We're going to do formatting measures, and that's what Raj and I are going to speak on. Our last meeting of the year. You might want to put this on your calendar, and later on I'll tell you about who's going to be there for the last meeting. But the last meeting is going to be the 6th of December. And we're going to talk about actions, filter actions, parameter actions, set actions, and how to go about using them in your dashboard. Let's go to the next one, Raj. Okay. It takes a team. And there's a pretty good, not a pretty good team, there's a great team behind what you're seeing today. And we'd like you to meet the team. Klaus, why don't you explain what's going on here?
Yeah, welcome everyone. Also from my side, if you have joined us before, then you might know that there was always a meet the team slide with some quantified self data. So we had this map, and we thought it's time for a new slide for the meet the team. And what you look at here is actually our history with Tableau Desktop. So for how many years has the team been using Tableau Desktop? And you see it in a bar chart, of course. There's nothing better than a boring bar chart. And why not? Why shouldn't we not all introduce ourselves briefly? So my name is Klaus. I'm from Germany. I've been using Tableau since 2017. Yeah, and I love being part of this team, of course. Laura, do you want to go next?
Give me a minute. Hi, so I'm Laura. I am from Chicago, USA. I've been using Tableau for 2+ years. Mainly, I deal with Tableau Online Cloud now, and other Tableau Prep as well. So, what Jenny is going to be saying is going to be really important to me because I'll be learning a lot of new things. I'm sure. So, and I work in a kind of a niche field. I work in a law firm, but I use Tableau mostly for financial analysis. Welcome, everybody.
Great. I'm Madeline Wild. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. I work at a private foundation, particularly using Tableau Public and a lot of Tableau Prep because we use government data. So we have to do a lot of cleaning and reformatting. So very excited to hear all of your wisdom, Jenny.
Okay, and Maddie just got married, so everybody congratulate her.
They lean on me.
Reyes?
Hey all, I'm Reyes. I'm based out of Colorado traditionally, but I find myself in Georgia at the moment. I've been using Tableau for 3 years now. I just had my 3-year anniversary this month, and I've been using it working for a company called Zoetis for animal pharmaceutics, where we've been using it to create data stories and dashboards around R&D data. So happy to be here.
Viraj?
Hi, it's Viraj here, and I've been using Tableau since like 4 years now, but I'm still newbie at heart, so I keep learning new things, and I'm here to share some of my learnings with you all. And Tableau Prep, it's like one of my other favorite tool after Tableau Desktop. So, but I'm here to get super informative sessions from Jenny. So happy to be here.
And those of you who were here last month know that Viraj just became a Tableau ambassador. And we congratulate him on that.
Thank you.
My name's Jim Daner. I live in Nashville, Tennessee, here in the U.S., and I've been using Tableau now for 7 years. So I feel like the old guy all of a sudden. But I am the old guy, so we're just going to go with that. Okay, let's go on to the next slide. Okay, Today in the deep dive session, we're going to look at dynamically formatting measures. And like I say, this is a topic that has come up, and it came up from you, the members. You said you wanted to know more about that. I wanted to draw just a real quick distinction between traditional static formatting. I think we all know how to do that, where we just simply open up the format menu, identify what the measures we want to format. We can go to the default properties, pull up the number formatting, and then set the format to any format that you'd like. And that format is static. It goes with that measure wherever it goes. Let's go to the next slide. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about those cases where, well, sometimes you want the measure in one format, and sometimes you want it in another format. For example, you might have different formats by data types. One might be a percent, one might have a dollar sign associated with it. You might want to look at dates at different levels, like years or months and years, or the actual date in terms of the month, date, and year. You might want to have a different measure, if you will, or a different format for millions or for thousands, or based on whether a certain condition is met. Viraj is going to show us how to do that. Viraj, why don't you take it over and you take control of the screen?
Sure. Yeah. I'll start sharing my screen. Let me know once you see my screen.
Sorry, we've got it.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we're good.
Okay, great. So Jim mentioned about default formatting. So, just showing you some screenshots. So this is where I've selected a measure here, discount, which I've set the default properties. There are two default properties that I've set. One is the number format, and other is the default aggregation. So if you bring the discount measure onto the view, we can see that it's already formatted and it's coming as discount average. So if I just have to clear and show you back, I'll just bring it here, and it's in the formatted way. Okay. So the next method that I would want to share with you is about how to format it, but using some normalized measure. Okay. What do we mean by normalized measure? So here we calculate the measure in such a way that we bring them into a standard level of data. So instead of having it at the actual number, so we bring it at, based on what the value is, we bring it at a common level. So if I have to bring this up, so I'll say bring this up onto the text, and yeah, so if you see the number which is now showing it as, it's in the billion format. So how do we know that? So we'll just bring it, we format it. Along with that, we assign a suffix saying that based on the value we assigned, it's a billion, million, or thousands. So we bring that into the label part, and we ensure that both these are aligned in one line. So we remove the new line character and we bring it over here. Now if you see, it's still showing it as a linear with lots of decimals. So you can go to these measures, go to your default properties, and then set it up as a number with just 2 decimals. And this is how it will show up. Well, we need to add a space in between. So that's how it looks. But then what if the number changes? So for example, I have a hierarchy here, Uh, so now it's showing it as a millions. So now when it drills down, when we drill down, the number automatically changes to thousands. And if I further drill down, it goes up to a value where you can find some numbers which are in units. Okay, so for example, staple holder, this is in units, it's less than 1000, so it's showing you the actual number. So the only catch here is that when you use a combination of a number and a string, it's difficult to sort it with the actual descending or ascending format. So in that scenario, I would, we would suggest going to the field and sorting it based on the actual measures. So if you go there, you select a field, and in our case, I'm using sales. So I'm going to use the sales and then use it to descending order. So this way, it orders it in a proper descending format. And I'm just showing you the billion view because it didn't show up correctly in before. So this is how it will look like when I have some number which is in billions. I have a parameter which changes my field from a modified sales to the actual sales. So if in the actual superstore data we don't have the values going up to billions, so I made some modified numbers and it shows up like here. And then when you drill down, it goes out to billion, to millions, to thousands. Okay. The other method is about using multiple calculated fields here. So let me just show you how it would be. So let me bring the hierarchy again, the product hierarchy. So I'll just show you till the subcategory. And I'll bring in sales. Okay. So now this is the normal view, but then we would want it to show it in uh, what you say, and on based on the number format it is. So in this scenario, we have created individual fields, individual calculated fields based on the logic that if it's a billion, then we'll just show the actual sales. If it's millions, it will show you the actual sales. So this way, what happens is instead of the actual sales, we will bring in all these four formats, thousands, millions, billions, and units. We'll select all and then bring it into onto the text. Now, if you see, they are spread out, so we just have to bring them back into one line. So without any space in between, so we'll just delete the lines, new lines, so it becomes in one view. Now, if you see, they were auto formatted to millions and stuff because I went ahead and created the default properties as billions. Same way for uh, thousands. Okay, so now when the value changes, it automatically picks up the numbers. Okay, so that's how it works with the multiple calculated fields. The next method is something which I have used it in one of my business dashboards, is that when there were a lot of numbers showing up, and again working with all these workarounds like showing it up with a suffix or a prefix was difficult. So we thought of giving them a different view, saying that we'll show you the numbers and we'll tell you in what units or what format it is in the title itself. So in this scenario, we'll be using the parameters. So now in this scenario, I have created a parameter which I've just named it as number in. And if you notice, this is the data type of this parameter is integer. So the reason why I've created this integer is I have assigned the value as the actual number of how I want it to be converted. So if I want the number to be converted into thousands, I'm assigning a value to it as thousand, and then billions and millions, because I'll be using this parameter in the calculation. I'll just show you how. Okay. Okay. So yeah, so I have selected this. So in natural in normal way, what we would have done is we could have said case one, case numbers, in, and then we would have say when 1, then units, and so on. So instead of doing this, as this parameter is created as number itself, so I am directly dividing the sales by that number. So that way I'm reducing a step in between. So this is just a tip I would suggest, you should follow in wherever you have a chance. So let's do one thing. We'll bring in the product hierarchy back into the view, and let's bring in the sales parameter. So now, second. So now here I am going to make the default parameter, default settings to this. And now we are showing the numbers values in units. So now I'm going to change it to thousands. It changes to 1000, but it doesn't add a K or a M towards it, but it changes in the title. Now, how do we do that? We just add the parameter itself here. Okay. So then when you change it, it becomes billions. But yeah, obviously I'm not using the modified sales. So let me bring up the modified sales. Okay. We don't have billions in this modified sales. So it's millions and thousands and units. Well, this
Viraj, would you open up that parameter again?
Yes.
The numbers in.
Yeah.
Just open that up. This is something that a lot of users don't really utilize, and they don't really understand. You can have a value in a parameter that's different than what is displayed for the user to see. And what Viraj has done here is he's incorporated into the parameter itself, the value of 1 million or 1,000 or 1 billion to make the conversion directly from the parameter value. I see questions come into the forum all the time where users end up writing a very long case statement, trying to do this involved calculation to convert a very large number to a very small number, and he's done it very elegantly here. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but this question comes up all the time in the forum, and I wanted to make sure that people understood it.
No, thanks, Jim. That helps. So, okay, so moving on to the next. So till now we were looking at formatting one single measure. So now this is the most commonly asked requirement in any dashboard, that we want to show the same view but with different metrics. So sometimes we want to show it on a discount or a profit or a sales or some other metrics itself. So this is a very common way, as in we create a parameter again, but in this scenario we are going to create it as a text. So where we are having the name as measure names like discount, profit, sales, and profit ratio. It's a string type, and we're using this in the case statement in this format. So I have just changed the aggregation for discount, and then sum for profit, sum for sales, and then the profit ratio is the division of profit by sales. And now we can bring this into the view. So let me just bring it up here, and I'll just bring in the subcategory. So just to show the view. Now I can even bring this into the colors, and then probably change my colors to orange to gold. Black. Yeah. I kind of sometimes prefer it to reduce the opacity. Sometimes it gets too bright. So, and then I'll just sort it out. Now, along with this, now when we change the metric, it changes. But if we have to show the labels, it will still show up the labels like just in normal numbers format, or it's in the decimal, but it's not explaining it properly. So we're not sure profit is it in dollars, or it's in some other metric. So in that scenario, what we do is, again, it's a combination of the earlier two methods that we have shared about default formatting and multiple measures. So we created again different measures to show each of these measures. as a different field. And this is again a one-liner if else statement. So it's IIF. So if this condition is satisfied, it will give up this, uh, returns this measure, or else it will return null. Okay. So now what we have to do is we have to again select all these measures, and then I'll bring it onto the label. And as we are going to show all these measures as one single measure in the view, we just remove the new line characters without the spaces, and then just say OK. And all these measures have been formatted at a default level as per their requirement. So thousands. So profit is, I'm showing it as thousands, and discount values is shown up as percentage, because it's an average discount value that I'm showing you. Now, when I change it, it changes the view, plus it changes the metrics, and plus it changes the formatting. Now, there's one more formatting that we can do on the number format level, is using the custom format to show the up arrow and the down arrow. So now there are different ways to handle this. You can just simply search for an up and down arrow on Google and just copy and paste it here. The sequence here, which is shown here, so I'll probably show it up in the calculated field, just to. So the first part is for the positive, and the second part is for the negative values. So, that's how it shows up. And if you select the profit ratio, it shows up as the change as up arrow or the down arrow. So this generally helps when we are working with multiple measures that needs to be formatted as per the measure type. The other very commonly asked question is about conditional formatting, which is kind of a request which is people find similar to what we can do in Excel. So let's bring in okay, let's bring the order date. I'll just go with the subcategory for now, and I'm going to select bar from here. I'll explain it to you why, because I'm going to format it in some way. So now, when we want to see if a particular sales particular category is profitable or not, and we'll just create a calculated field saying that if the some profit is less than zero, it's not profitable, and if it's greater than zero, it's profitable. And I'll bring it this into color. For now, there's no values showing up. So we want to see the sales. So let's bring in the sales, and I'll convert it into the label. So now it's showing up here, but then the color, if you see, is just at one small bar. But then how do I make it a unified, or how do I format it to the entire cell? So I'll just type in a measure which is 0, and it turns to be a summation. And then I'll change this, I'll put it into size. So this way it applies to the entire cell. And then if you can see which are the non-profitables and the others are profitables. Okay. So this is one way to do the conditional formatting. Um, so before these different methods came in, the very basic or the very earlier version of formatting, or changing the format of measures, was a very commonly used workaround, was the sheet swapping. So when we used to create multiple sheets and place it on the dashboard and hide and show based on what we select. So here also we are doing the similar, but now we are using the new features that it was recently launched, is the dynamic zone visibility. So in this scenario, what we have is we have created different views, and I'll just show up. So we have created different views based on the measures. So now in this scenario, we are creating so we have created some measures. Sorry, this is a flag. Yeah. So we have created some measures based on the requirement. See, the only reason I've used this is to ensure that I can show you some billion values, because if I don't, there are no billion values in the data set right now. then we have created different sheets based on the type of format. So this is for units, this is for billions, millions, and this is for billions. So now again, so we are using the units, and then we are going to use we are using the fields, and then we're going to format it. But then the way that we're going to handle is you're going to create a sheet swap with a dynamic zone visibility approach. So how do we do that? So let's create a dashboard. I'll probably reduce the size to 700 and 300. No specific reason, it's just probably the way I'm building the visuals for it now. Before that, I'm going to place a horizontal container here. So that's where I'm going to place all the sheets. And I'm going to place millions and units and billions. Now we can see there are all the three sheets that show up, but we're going to control them based on uh, a flag. Okay, now what are those flags? So flags are nothing but which we have selected, because the dynamic zone visibility works using a Boolean flag. So we are going to create these flags, which is again I'm using it. I'm using the number integer parameter, where if whatever I'm going to select in the parameter, if it matches the billion, only then show up the billion sheet. Okay. So when I'm come to the dashboard here, and I'm going to show the parameters. Okay. So now single value. So I'm going to show this parameters. So now when I'm selecting billions, I'll go to the layout pane. If you see this option, control visibility using value. So now here I'm going to select the flag billion. So the moment I select this, the sheet is hidden. So because the currently the parameter value selected is units. Now same way I'll set it up for million sheet. So I'm say control using visibility using millions. The moment I do that, it gets hidden. So right now we are showing units. So even for units, we are going to change, we are going to set up the flag as units. Now when I select billions, the unit sheets gets hidden, and then I can show the value in billions, and same way applies for millions. So if I see this once, so this is how it will look like. Okay, so it's nothing but a normal sheet swap, but using a dynamic zone visibility. Till now we were looking at the formatting. So now this is a recently released feature which talks about how to dynamically change the axis label. So now we have a similar view here, and then we want to show the line chart which is on uh, monthly level. We are showing the sales, or we are showing the different metrics like discounts and profits, sales, and profit ratio. But if you notice the y-axis, it always shows that metric selected, which is nothing but our field. Okay, so till now we used to do a workaround like we create a dashboard, and then we bring in the probably bring in this, and then we say bring in the sheet, and then we bring in a text box, which we could say when we say choose a metric, we say okay, and then we make it as floating, and then we used to show it up at a level that okay, this is how it's going to look. But now with the new feature, we don't have to do that. So what we have to just go is come to the sheet, right click on the axis, edit axis, and in the axis title there is this new feature called custom, which you are going to change to and select parameters. So this parameter is nothing but the parameter that you are using to switch the metric. So you're going to select choose metrics and create and close it. So now if you see, it shows profit ratio, then it's sales, profit, and discount. So yep, that's all about the dynamic measure formatting.
That was great. That was great.
Yep.
Just a couple of things. I think we're pretty current as far as questions are concerned.
Okay.
Val Weller just asked when dynamic axis, which version has dynamic axis labels, and I think dynamic axis labels have been out for about a year now.
Yep.
At this point, but I think we're pretty current at that point. You want to pull the slide deck back up and can move forward. Just for while he's doing that, if you're not familiar with dynamic zone visibility, please take the opportunity to learn about it, because it is one powerful feature. It has huge user implications. We're going to move on to Jenny now in prepping data. Jenny's been very patient. Her cat has been very patient also. Jenny is an absolute superstar. She's a social ambassador. She's a visionary. I gave her credit for being the founding member of Prepping Data, and as far as we're concerned, she is. When it comes to knowing about Tableau Prep, we've got one of the two go-to sources to really understand prepping data. You'll see the two QR links there. Prepping Data, for those of you who are not familiar with it, is a great tool to learn how to use prepping data. And the other QR code there is Jenny's LinkedIn. Raj, let's move ahead and let's get Jenny on stage. Jenny, are you ready to go?
Yep, ready to go. So I will share my screen as soon as it fills in. There we go. Brilliant. That all looks like it's sharing okay.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you so much for the invitation to come and speak to you today about Tableau Prep. You mentioned there, Jim, that my cat has already been listening in to the user group so far. She's been very interested. She does like to come and sometimes join in presentations. I've definitely had to throw her off my shoulders before mid-presentation, but hopefully that won't be the case today. But yeah, I'm really excited to come and talk to you. I heard that often people are requesting hearing a little bit more about Tableau Prep for this newbie group, and I've really tried to make sure that this is aiming at anyone who doesn't know anything about Tableau Prep, but then introducing hopefully some extra little twists for those of you I saw at the start who already know a little bit about Tableau Prep. Yeah, some nuggets there for you as well. And how Tableau Prep just makes using TableauDesktop that much easier, basically. So I think that Jim did a great job of introducing me, so I won't go through this slide too much. The only thing I will do is give you a lovely photo of my cat Pyrrha there to just demonstrate that, yeah, she is the boss here. And she is currently shouting at me now. So yeah, my bag is all around Tableau Prep, and so that's why I'm here today to talk to you about it. So to start off, though, I want to ask a nice question to you all. Have you ever connected to a dataset in TableauDesktop and you're really excited, you want to get started with that dataset, you want to build your charts, and it's just not happening the way you want it to. You're dragging and dropping fields. Yep, I can see that I'm not alone, which is, I was worried that everyone would go, what are you talking about? Never. But yeah, sometimes the data that we want, it's just not perfect. It's not the ideal world. It doesn't work quite the way we want it to. Maybe it's got a lot of nulls in it. Maybe some spelling errors aren't really working the way we want it to. It's all a bit messy. Maybe even we haven't got our field names over in our dimensions and measures pane, and we're thinking, what's F1? What's F2? How? And some of those things we can start fixing in TableauDesktop itself. Maybe we can use some calculated fields. We can do a little bit of pivoting within desktop with certain data sources. But really, that's why Prep came in. Prep was brought along in about 2018, I think. So it's developed to kind of fix that pain point that we're all having. I see there about government data being absolutely perfect all the time. I'm sure it is. I don't. I've seen some government data. I've used some government data from the UK, in fact, in prepping data challenges because it's notoriously funky the way it's formatted sometimes. So yeah, Tableau Prep is that step that we can bring in to our Tableau process. And I know that we all love the glitzy glam of Tableau Desktop, but Tableau Prep can just help Tableau Prep shine. Tableau, I'm saying my Tableau's all wrong now. Tableau Prep can help Tableau Desktop shine even more. So just to get our lay of the land and get on all the same foot with our Tableau products, yes, we all kind of start our journey with Tableau Desktop. We want to build those beautiful visualizations, those beautiful charts, and that's how we all kind of get enamored by Tableau, really, is all the cool things that people can do, watching tipping sessions like Virage and being like, I want to go try that out right now. Definitely always inspiring. But we've got to then remember that Tableau Desktop, yep, sometimes it's not always the perfect data that we're feeding in, and that's where Prep can come in at the start of that process, so that it just cleans up that data so that we can just have that wonderful perfect experience in desktop where we're dragging and we're dropping and it's all working out the way that we want it to. So it's kind of like very similar to Tableau Desktop. It sits on our machines, on our laptops, and the great news is that if you have a creator license, me and Klaus are on the same wavelength here, because if you have that creator license, then you can use Tableau Prep Builder at the same time as Tableau Desktop. It's all included in the same cost, so no extra cost there, which is super. And then once you're kind of finished with your workflows, where you've got that perfect data, you've built your dashboards in desktop, you want to make sure that you can share that with your colleagues or share it with the world, with Tableau Server, Tableau Public, that sort of thing. And the great news about Tableau Prep as well is that those workflows that you build to clean up your data, what you can really do is that you can then share that on the server as well. So on server, on cloud, with your colleagues, so that when new data is coming in, it can be automated to refresh that data. So that data source is staying up to date, therefore your dashboard's staying up to date, and you're not having to go in every time the data updates and make those changes. So that really is the power of Prep that we're bringing in to this process, so that our data, as far as desktop's concerned, is always perfect, because Prep's there doing that work in the background for us. And just a note on that as well, we don't have a public version of Tableau Prep yet. It's one of those things that gets hinted at now and again. Maybe someday we will have also a public version of Prep available, but for now, there is a 14-day free trial at the very least. But yeah, if it's something that you have because you have Tableau Desktop license, you have a creator license, then it's something you can get playing with right now. We do need that public version. Let's keep asking for it, and hopefully, if we keep all asking nicely, they'll give it to us. Cool. But assuming we do have that access to Prep, then you're thinking to yourselves that you'd have to write a lot of code in order to clean up your data. That's kind of historically how it's always been. IT specialists are the go-to people for getting our data, and they'll often write a bunch of code to clean things up. This is just a random SQL script there that makes me think, that doesn't look very exciting. That doesn't look like something I really particularly want to read in order to understand everything that's going on. It's not very visual. It's not really helping us to see the data in any way, and that's kind of what Tableau is all about. So luckily, no, we don't have to write a lot of code with Tableau Prep. That really is the beauty of it, is that the less code you have to write, the less you have to touch your keyboard at all, and it's just mainly with your mouse, and that makes us all a lot happier. So what we're looking at with Tableau Prep is much more about the workflows. So keeping that kind of visual nature of Tableau's kind of philosophy. We have workflows that we build. So from left to right is how our data flows through that workflow in these steps. So even with the default naming conventions, we can see that we've got some idea of what's going on. We can see that there's some clean steps in there where it's labeled as like clean 1, clean 2, and so on and so forth. We can see that we've got some joins happening where we've got those Venn diagram type symbols. My cat is going absolutely crazy at the moment. She's just climbed up on top of the cabinets in the kitchen, but we're ignoring that. We can also notice that we've got some aggregate steps happening there, looking very much like auto sum in Excel. So already we haven't had to really do too much reading, and we have some idea what's happening. So it's much more visual, the language of Tableau Prep, and I'll show you soon when we go into Tableau Prep itself that we're able to see our data and how it changes at each one of these steps, which really just helps us keep in the mindset, in the mind frame as like what's going on with my data and understanding that throughout, which helps us all build trust with what we're actually doing. And then the other thing is we also get these nice little light bulbs symbols as well of recommendations as to what to go ahead and do in our workflows, which again, super useful to cleaning up our data. So in terms of those 5 ways that Tableau Prep can make using desktop easier for us, let's go through some of those. So I'll start off by opening Tableau Prep itself. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, hopefully this doesn't look too unfamiliar. It looks very similar to how you open Tableau Desktop. We've got, instead of those most recent dashboards or workbooks, we've now got our most recent workflows. Most of those there are prep and data challenges for me, and then just a few Pokemon workflows for my IMBiz, which the deadline's getting pretty close for that, and I'm nowhere near. But at least I have my data already, so that's half the challenge. Over on the right-hand side, we've also got the classic discovery pane that you would see in Tableau Desktop as well, so we can get all of that kind of like resources and training links just ready to go, which is super helpful. But our first step, as ever, is to connect to data with this nice big blue button. Again, very similar to how Tableau Desktop lets you connect to data, so it's all feeling nice and familiar in Prep, which is great. We can connect to kind of 3 main areas of data sources, so Tableau Server, files that we might have on our laptops, and then to various different databases and servers. The list goes on and on, which is super helpful for us. For the purposes of some quick demoing, I've got a very appropriately named data source of data for demo, so I'll just connect to that quickly. And even now, this is feeling pretty similar to Tableau Desktop, where we have this section in the middle that's asking us to add data, and we've got our tables over on the right-hand side. So for my demo, I've also just got some kind of Superstore sales mock data. I've fiddled around with it a little bit though, just for the purpose of this. So if I bring in my orders table for that, then I can see very clearly some metadata about my data. This has created me an input step. I've got all the field names there, the data types associated with those field names. So I can do a quick check as to, is this the right data that I've connected to? Yep, okay, this looks like it is my orders table because I can see some order ID, order dates, that sort of thing showing up there. So that's all good. So I've set up the demo there. So let's go into actually these 5 ways that Tableau Prep is going to make our lives easier. So number 1 here is going to be the profile pane in Tableau Prep. So that's not something I've shown you yet, but the profile pane helps you to actually see your data. And there's nothing worse than kind of starting off building your charts in desktop and realizing you don't have a very good understanding of actually the structure of the data that you're working with. It's one of the first questions that I ask people when they come to me for help with a problem in desktop is, okay, tell me about the data, the underlying data. What does each row represent? And that sort of thing. And if they can't answer that question off the top of their head, then that's the time when we go to Prep and start exploring. So let's take a look at that here. So Prep is straight away kind of indicating to us that it'd be super helpful if we were to put in a clean step right now so that we can view and clean our data. So I'll just click on that to generate that clean step. And now within my clean step, my view has changed. I can always go back if I want to the input step and make any changes that I want there. at the moment now I'm looking in that clean step. And what I'm referring to as the profile pane is this middle section here. So I've got these cards that you can see that has all the field names there, and a little bit more detail about what actually is within those fields. Down at the bottom, I've still got like the classic table view that you would expect to see for a data set. So that's always going to be down there too, so I can see that data at each row at that detail, which is useful. But if I'm just focusing on a field at a time, it helps me to understand a lot more about how my data is distributed. So if I just zoom in a little bit on these fields, so we'll start off with looking at what a string field looks like and how to interpret that. So in my order ID field, I can see that I've got 291 unique values. So this is kind of similar to in desktop. If I right click on a field and go to that describe option, and I can see information about the domain of my field and how many values I have in that. So it's really useful to just automatically be able to see that and compare it to the number of rows in total. So if, for example, I was expecting this data set to have an order ID for each row, and I was finding out that I have 326 rows of data and 291 order IDs, that's a moment of a flag to myself to be like, oh, maybe I misunderstood the level of detail of my data that I'm working with. Okay, let's think a little bit more about that and go into a little bit more exploration and analysis of that. With each of these values, I can then see over on the right-hand side that I've got this blue histogram that's kind of showing me the number of rows each of those values has. So at the moment, I can only see, say, 10 or so values, but I can use this to scroll down in my data, kind of drag this box around to keep seeing different values. And probably you want to go to that one that is the longest there. And this is probably a good time to demonstrate the fact that behind each of those values as well, we have that gray bar chart as well. So we can see this order ID in particular has 8 rows, whereas most of the other ones have 1 or 2 rows. So definitely be things that we want to go down and investigate a little bit deeper if we were wanting to use this data set for our analysis in Tableau. Yeah, so that's for our string fields where we get it, all of those values listed out from the beginning. And we can use that to kind of have a look. And we even have this option here as well. If I didn't want to search through for those order IDs that were taking up more than 1 rows, I can always sort these as well. So that I sort this histogram into descending order. And it's just lovely having that bar chart all pre-built, all able to be searched through and sorted on straight away without having to have built anything in Tableau itself. Okay, and then if we're thinking about other data types, so dates, for example, if I'm looking at my order date here, I can see it's a date from that little calendar at the top there. I can always go into these as well, change the data types just like I would in TableauDesktop, which is nice and simple there. And you might notice with our order date that we've got 244 unique values there, but we can only see down here 4 bars in a bar chart. Or if we hover over, actually, it becomes clear this is more of a histogram, actually. So it's putting all the values between 2020, the 1st of January 2020 to the 1st of January 2021 into 1 bar. So we're able to kind of get that high level overview of those dates, and we're able to see the shape of our data there as well. We've got lots more rows in 2024 with our issue of not every row being 1 order. We can't be certain that's due to more sales, but we at least know there's more rows there at the moment at this point in time. But if we want to then see in detail a little bit like which rows of data they are, which dates they actually are, then we could go to our menu of our order date and we could change the view state. That's what will control whether we're looking at this summary or if we want to look into detail and see each individual date, then it's just a simple case of clicking on that detail. And then it looks very similar to how our string fields look, where we've got each of those 244 individual dates now as a different value there. And in this case, we probably wouldn't be too worried about the fact that we have multiple rows for each of those dates, because we hopefully would have multiple orders from our store on that date. Cool, so those are our string and our date fields. If I just move over to an example of a numeric field, then again, looking very similar to how those dates are looking, where it's got this histogram pre-built for us, which is looking very useful. I can still go into my menu here and go to detail. But I think that what I'd want to point out about this is that we have a sales field here that has negative values in it. And that would be something that probably you'd be wanting to question and be a bit confused about. So if I zoom out there, then this is the other beautiful thing about the profile pane, is that any of these values that I have, I can click on, and it's going to not only filter the table at the bottom, but then it's going to show me where those values are linked to throughout the dataset. So for example, it looks like a lot of them are coming from this particular order at the top. So hovering over there gives a little bit more detail now about the highlighted. So 25% of those rows that are in the -500 to -400 bucket of sales values come from this order ID in particular. And looking across the fields, I can see, okay, I've got a returned field here. Maybe that's linked to my negative sales. And I can test that hypothesis by clicking on that yes for returned and looking back over at my sales and seeing that, okay, all of the returned orders are highlighted in the negative sections. So, okay, that's how this data is communicating to us that those sales haven't actually happened. They are actually returns, so that they kind of cancel out in the data. So I'd want to think maybe how I'm going to, is that the way that I want to work with it in desktop? Maybe I want to make a change to that, something to kind of think about. Maybe I'd filter those out. But it starts that kind of thought process of what is this data that I'm working with, and how do I want to treat it going forwards, basically. So yeah, the profile pane is just super powerful, and it's something that even if I know my data's clean, I'm still going to load it into Tableau Prep so that I can do that data discovery piece. It's something that I definitely spend a lot of my day job coaching at the data school, encouraging people to do, to make sure that they're getting the most of that data discovery and spotting any problems, just raising little flags and thinking, okay, I need to think about this part. This part is as I expect. And it just helps you to form a plan rather than kind of going into desktop blind. So that's what I love the most about Tableau Prep. So that's all in the one section of use the profile pane to see the data. That's probably going to be the most detailed section here. But the next part of the demo, we'll be looking at cleaning our data with clicks rather than calcs. So playing on that SQL idea, we don't really want to be writing out long functions. Playing on kind of Viraj's demo earlier with making sure we're being as efficient as possible when we are using functions rather than writing out long case statements. We all want to avoid that as much as we can. So if I look, for example, back at my data here, then there's quite a lot of functionality that we can achieve through this menu that we were looking in earlier. So we've got kind of filtering options like we would in Tableau Desktop, where we have like tick boxes and that type of thing, or ranges for dates and numbers. So they're all available to us without having to write calculations too. We've got some nice functionality here to be able to clean things up. So get rid of all the punctuation or the numbers, that type of thing. The group values is great. I should have built in something to demonstrate that to you, because it is a really fantastic way of dynamically grouping things together rather than in desktop. Groups are very manual selecting. They aren't as dynamic as sets, for example. But what I want to do with this field is I want to actually split up these values. So in my order ID field, I have information about the country that the order is coming from, the year that the order was purchased in, and the order number, all in one string. Whereas actually I want that to be in 3 separate strings. So if I split those values based on that common delimiter, which is a dash or a hyphen, then I could write a calculation to do that for sure, but I could also use the custom split option here in Tableau Prep. And it just gives us a little window. So, okay, I do have to touch my keyboard to just write in that dash that is separating out my order IDs. And then I can just choose and say, do I want just the first part of that field? So that would just give us the US or the country. But no, actually, I want all of those fields. So I want 3 fields to be generated from that. So if I just hit split there, then I've got now these 3 additional fields on the left-hand side where I've got the country, the year, and then that order ID. And the best thing about that is I can open up the changes pane that's in every step in prep, where I can really see my changes step by step. I'm never going to forget what I was doing in a step because it's all documented for me. And I can see the calculation that's been written in the background. I'm just going to zoom out again and just open up that calculation with the edit button there. And oh, isn't it nice not to have had to write this calculation, a 3-line calculation that I just did with, a couple of clicks of my mouse instead. That always gives me a lot of satisfaction to do that. I didn't have to think about the complexity of, how many times do I want to split this and make it dynamic. That's all done for me, which chef's kiss, beautiful. Definitely better than cleaning my data with lots of functions, I would say. So there are a few prep and data challenges, in fact, that focus on really exploring that functionality of cleaning data with clicks rather than calcs. And that's definitely something that I should go back to that project and do a few more of, because there's so much more functionality nowadays that is really leaning on this. So I know not necessarily a newbie topic, but fixed level of detail calculations in Tableau Prep look so much more visual, and it's so much clearer what's going on in those calculations rather than writing them as just functions. But I'll stop going on about that and come to the next point, which is the very visual nature of joins in Tableau Prep. So comparing it again to TableauDesktop, it's not always super clear if you're doing a relationship, which rows maybe won't be included, or even when you're doing joins in TableauDesktop, it's not 100% clear to you visually which data might be falling out when you don't want it to fall out. So if I just have another really simple data set that I'm going to bring in, which is my target data set for these orders. So I'm just connecting to this table, and again, we'll just go ahead and view that data. It's a very simple table, which just has the years and the targets for those years for the sales. And then joining these 2 tables together, I'll just do a zoom in for that effect. Then I can just drag one step up towards the other step, so very visually making that join happen. And isn't it nice that the blue and the yellow come together to make green? So very much blending those 2 data sets together. I do have to tell Tableau Prep which 2 fields they are. So if you remember from that split, the middle split was the year, and I've got a year field here as well. But helpfully, I have a little alert here as well to tell me that I've actually got an error in my join because the data types aren't matching here. So I might have to go back earlier in my flow just to fix this year that I have here. So change it from a string to a number so that that join now happens, goes away. That is an example of where Tableau Prep gives you a helpful error. Not always the case, but getting better for sure. And then now that the join has been able to happen, then we can see very clearly, quickly, which of those values in the year field have been able to join fine, and then highlighted in red, very clear which ones have not been able to join okay. And we can see that as well in this bar chart below. We can see the number of rows coming from that order table, 326. The number of rows coming out of this join is 326. But we are losing these 2 rows from that targets table. And we can even click on that bar chart to very clearly see those 2 rows that aren't coming through, and maybe make a decision if we did want to do a different join type. So if it wasn't joined, so that we do keep that data coming through, it's as simple as clicking on the Venn diagram to change what join type you're doing, so that now those rows would be included. I'm not saying that in this example that necessarily makes sense, but just as a quick demo of how that then changes the view. We still see that they're mismatched in this bar chart, but I just love the way it speaks to you in very much a Tableau manner of building you some charts so that you understand what's happening with that data, for sure. Cool. And then my other 2 points, I'm aware I'm probably running out of time a little bit, are just to be probably demo free here, but I wanted to make the point around how Prep is great for helping you to combine any of your data sets together. So in desktop, there are some restrictions around certain data types that data sources that you may be working with. So if I use Tableau server data sources, for example, when we're in the data source pane in Tableau Desktop, we can't actually join or union or make relationships with any published data sources in Tableau Desktop, whereas luckily in Tableau Prep, we have complete freedom. No matter where a data source has come from, it all just comes into that workflow as an input step, and we can pick it up and join it to any other data. So that gives us just a lot more freedom and a lot more flexibility so that we can bring together any data sources. And that is definitely something that is a key selling point to a lot of clients we work with. So that's definitely a positive. And then one final way that Tableau Prep makes our lives easier is it allows us to reshape our data so that it tells your story. So you'll notice probably when you get into wanting to build particular charts that you're like, this is going to be the perfect chart to tell my story, that maybe your data needs to be structured in a particular way. And in those cases, maybe sometimes your data isn't structured in that way. Maybe it needs all of the measures, for example, to be in one column. And your data source you're connecting to doesn't allow you to do that pivot. And it's frustrating. You're thinking, oh, I could write a lot of calculations in Tableau Desktop to make this work. But rather than kind of going through all that headache, if you take it into Tableau Prep instead, then you can make that a lot easier on yourself. And there are members of the community who build workflow templates if you're looking to build those specific charts so that you can input your own data and get it in the right shape to then build those particular charts, which is always super helpful, and we're super grateful for those people. And I'll share some resources in just a second of one such example. So just to recap on that, the 5 ways that Tableau Prep can make desktop easier, and these are only 5, there are many more, is that you can use the profile pane to really see your data. You can clean your data with clicks, not calcs. You can visualize your joins, see what data you might be losing through those joins, combining any data sources together, which just really unlocks a whole world of powerful data enrichment. And then you can reshape your data so that you can build certain charts so much easier and save yourself a lot of headaches. And if that has piqued your interest in Prep, then I just have some resources there that I'll leave there, but I know Jim was about to speak.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. What a great presentation. Absolutely. I feel like I should join prepping data right now.
Please do.
I'll tell you what. There's been a lot of questions. A lot of things have blown up. There's a few things in the Q&A that you might want to go out and visit and answer directly.
Yep.
Is Klaus or Veronica? Is there any question that you want to pose before we move on?
Yeah, maybe one. First of all, thanks, Jenny. Great presentation. I love Tableau Prep, and I love what you presented. I think I took most of the questions in the Q&A. There was one I was not 100% sure from Alison. It was about the automatic split. And is the automatic split fully dynamic? So if you build the automatic split on something with 3 splits and then new data comes in with 4 splits, will that automatic split also be applied on that new data?
That's a great question, and I think it's one of those things that me and Carl's the other person who runs Prepping Data, we keep meaning to go through and kind of work out how dynamic all those features are, because in theory, Yes, it seems like it's set up in the way that, yes, it will then go and split off into that fourth column, but it's not something that I've tested recently. So I think that that's a look out, watch this space, and we'll we'll
Yeah.
create some content at some point that explains that.
Just for anybody who doesn't know, Carl is the godfather. It's just that simple. Carl is the godfather.
Yeah, before we go, there's one more question maybe from Patrick. I'm not sure if it was answered, but like, how do we get access to the workflows for prep that are already designed?
Do you mean the templates that I mentioned
Right.
for
Yeah, I
specific?
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So that'll be the last link that you can see on the screen at the moment from Jared Flores. He's another really great prep user, great prep visionary. There are lots of examples on his website.
Great. Thanks.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much, Jenny. That was wonderful. I think we're ready for a Kahoot quiz. What do you think, Laura? Are you ready?
Just while Laura gets ready, maybe if you can just scan the QR code for prepping data, and then I can get access to it.
I once again want to remind you, you get bragging rights for winning for finishing first in this Kahoot quiz. There's no cash, no prizes.
Apologies. Let me see. Yeah, I'm ready to start. Let me
Okay,
share my screen
very
and
good.
then we'll get started. Let me see what I did. I think. Give me a minute, everybody. I just need to fix something, but oh, my bad. Okay. I just need to save something. I'm good to go. Okay. So I'm starting the Kahoots. I'm gonna share my screen right now. It's still loading. So, okay. Let me know if you guys can see my screen.
It is loading, and yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna choose class mode. So it
Okay.
should show a pin. So that's the pin. I'll put that in the chat as well. Thank you guys. I was not able to join the chat as much as I could.
Oh, that's interesting. This time we are hearing the music, Laura.
Yeah, I put the music on. Do you guys want me to turn that off or?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It was pretty loud on my side. I'm not sure how it is on the other side.
Okay, I turned it off. Can you guys? Is that better?
Okay. Yep.
Okay, thank you so much. Madeline helped me come up with a lot of the questions here. I was struggling to keep up with everything. So thank you so much. And thank you for managing the chat, Reese and Maddie. I'm gonna wait until we have at least 70, if we can get them.
Oh, we are at 52. Okay.
Okay. I'll wait until I'm gonna start now because we're running a little bit low on time. Or I'll wait. Can we help? Can you guys get us to 60? Or no? Okay. If I get to 60, I'll start. Okay, we're at 55. I'll take that. Okay, so I'm gonna start now. Let me know if you guys can. Let's see if it starts. I'm gonna quiz. It's a question that Maddie gave me, so thank you, Maddie.
Attend Starfleet Academy.
I have that, and I also have used the Force. I value very controversial opinions, guys. I didn't wanna
Nice one.
choose either or other. Awesome. So yeah, we use a parameter to change the view to show a different measure. Like Viraj used multiple parameters and multiple different ones, but that's what we use. I'm gonna go to the next question. So let's see who. Good job, Emma.
Emma.
Let's go to the next question. I believe this one also was by Maddie. I think a lot of the questions are by Maddie. Thank you, Maddie.
Fellow
Thank
Sky
you, Sayana.
faculty.
I don't choose between both of them. I think both of them are great. Awesome. So it's all the above. We can use all of these to create a normalized measure. We use all of these in conjunction actually to create something. So you can watch the recording again once we go live with it. Amanda, awesome. We have new people on the board. Let me go to the next one. It's a true and false. This is not the chart that Viraj used. I found it online because he went by too fast for me.
Oh.
It goes by really fast. It's all good. It's fast for me, then it's fast for you. So, but yeah, you can use a you can use a parameter to create a dynamic axis, and it works wonderfully. And Nana, good job. I think I see Roy
Oh,
is still
nice.
here. Awesome. Let's go to the next one. I have some funny questions and silly
Uh,
answers. Don't
uh,
choose
uh,
that.
uh, yeah, I wish I could go to Narnia. Not to hunt, but then just Narnia.
Yeah, not like we don't hunt. Awesome. Yes, we use measure default properties. I believe this question was also by Maddie, so thank you. I'm gonna go to the next one.
And
Ooh, Krista,
Krista.
Roy
So
was
that
still
was
been Roy has been in here for a while, so we saw the highest climber, the DZV. Reading, I think. Let's see. Ooh, that is also true. 13 people choose control visibility using a parameter. We can use all of that because that's how Viraj did it in the DZV. He did all three, so I have all the above. Let's see who. Ooh, Krista, awesome. Roy, you're still on the board. Awesome. Let me see. Sorry, I'm in the office today, so you might hear some other noises.
oh, that's just the background music.
It's different from the background music. So
Yep.
this one also from Maddie. I had a more convoluted question. Maddie made it simple for me. You can summon the data demon. It's Halloween coming up, guys. I can't believe
Yay.
nobody chose that. I'm very sad about that, but yeah, we do use the clean stuff.
Well, that was probably an obvious one not to select. Maybe.
I would have
just
chosen just because it
yeah,
was
just because
silly.
of its Halloween.
Yes. We have 3 more questions to go, and we'll
Oh,
be done soon.
multi-select.
Yeah, you have 2 right answers, so you select 2 of them. And I truly believe that prep can only do unions. It doesn't. I don't understand. It can. I don't know if I've never seen prep do a side split, but I'll watch out for it.
Just like desktop prep is vast. It's a lot to learn.
I thought it was funny that people chose a side split. You can't. It doesn't do a side split. I'm gonna go into the next one. Let's see who is. Ooh, Krista, good job. Terry, Roy, you're still here. Awesome. Let me go on to the next question. You only have one answer. I only have one. Let's go to the music. Prep has a lot of SQL things you can pull, but this is one of the ones that she specifically had on her PowerPoint presentation, so I pulled that.
Thanks for the 2 people that said flows are fun, though. I'm with you guys.
Yes, it is.
3 of us out here having fun.
I like that.
Flows.
I like them. Ooh, Krista, good job. Roy, you're still awesome. We're seeing new people. SW has been here for a while.
Nice one, Pam.
True and false. Yes. Awesome. I'm glad you guys. Let's see. The next question,
Is
it
the-
doesn't count for any points. It's just for fun.
Why do we love Tableau? I think it's just we love
That's
Prep.
not Tableau. I couldn't find a picture fast enough, so I just it's not exactly Tableau Prep, but I just had a random dashboard pulled up. But yeah, this one doesn't count for any points.
Yeah.
I think.
But then it's the options are like every point counts. So
You can choose, yeah, all of them. You can. The answer was like you can choose all of them. So let me see. Okay, and the podium, AJ, awesome. Then we have Roy. Yeah, Roy has been. Let's see who it is. Sometimes it surprises me. Oh, Krista, awesome. Awesome. We have Nona and Carl as one of us. I would not have gotten most of these guys. So
That was fun. That was fun.
let me step.
Good job, Laura. Thank you. Maddie,
thank you,
thank you
Maddie.
for
Thank
putting
you.
that together. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Raj, you want to pull up that last slide?
yes.
Okay. Now, save the date, guys. Our next meeting, the last meeting for this year, and this is one that you're definitely going to want to be at, is December the 6th. And our guest speaker is going to be Annabelle Rincon. And if you don't know Annabelle is, she's a good friend. She's a dynamo. She absolutely is. But every year during the holiday season, Annabelle creates a holiday calendar with you. I've heard it called an advent calendar. And she's going to tell us how she did that. Now, Klaus and I have been lobbying heavily that we might get a window in that calendar. We didn't get one last year. I was very disappointed. I don't know, maybe Klaus was disappointed also. But we've been lobbying very heavily to get a window in that calendar this year, and maybe it'll happen. So we'd like you to attend the meeting. Bring a friend. You know, it's the holiday season. Bring a friend. And Annabelle's going to spend a good bit of time with us telling us how she creates that calendar. And yeah, Jenny will be there. That's absolutely the case. Okay. Thank you very much for attending today. We look forward to seeing you again next month.
Awesome. Please find the link in the chat. I shared the link there. So
You've got
if
it
you want
there?
to sign up, I published it. Yeah, I published a saved meeting for next on December. So if you guys want to sign up there, please feel free to.
Okay, Jenny, if you're still there, just stay with us for a second. People are beginning to
Thank you so much,
disappear.
everybody. I am like, this is wonderful. Thank you so much.
We'll have,
Yeah, thank
and
you. Bye-bye.
Thank
you
you.
want
Thanks,
to
everybody.
stop the recording so that
Yeah,
Yep.
you can do that.
I'll do that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.